If you have ever opened your supervisor's comments and felt your heart drop, this video is for you. Because the most frustrating thing is not feedback, the frustrating thing is the same feedback again and again. Unclear, justify, not enough literature, needs more critical analysis. You're like, but I have already edited it. Why are they still saying it? Let me tell you the truth. Repeated feedback happens when you treat a thesis like editing words. But actually, what your supervisor needs, your supervisor is asking you to fix the thinking. Words are the last layer. The real issue is usually structure, evidence, alignment, or clarity. Hi, I'm Piumsha Mayanthi. For the last 6 to 7 years, I have helped students with research work, mostly thesis writing, literature reviews, and chapter structure that supervisors accept. Now I share those exact methods publicly so you can write faster and avoid common mistakes. You might know me from social media. I run a thesis tip TikTok page with around 11K followers, and also I share academic tips on LinkedIn with around 13K followers. And also I have my own website www.smartystems.com. I post tools and templates there. This channel is for practical research help in very simple language, so you don't waste weeks going in the wrong direction. Okay, let's move to our topic. We were talking about repeated feedback from supervisors. There's a research on academic writing challenges showing most students know they need to improve their writing, but many don't get support. One mixed method study with 114 doctoral students found 89.5% felt they needed to improve academic writing. Yet, 62% had not sought writing support. That gap is exactly where repeated feedback grows. So today I will show you why feedback repeats and the simplest way to fix it. First reason feedback repeats is you fix the sentence, not the claim. Let's take an example. Supervisor writes justify. You respond by adding 2 extra lines and some fancy words, but you didn't add proof. In research, a claim needs evidence. There's a famous quote often linked to W. Edwards Deming: in God we trust, all others must bring data. That mindset exactly what supervisors want. Not opinions, not vibes, evidence, citations, and data. So if you see justify, translate it like this: which sentence is the claim and where's the proof? Then fix by adding a credible source or your data result, not more words. Okay, second reason feedback repeats is your paragraph is descriptive, not argumentative. This is the classic literature review problem. You write study A says this, study B says that, study C says another thing. That is a summary list. Supervisors want you to do something with the studies. Compare them, show gaps, show patterns, show why they matter for your study. Let's take an real example. If you are writing about employee performance, don't just say many studies found pay affect performance. You must add in which context, which method, what limitation, and what your study adds. Otherwise, your supervisor will keep saying more critical analysis. Okay, third reason feedback repeats is your writing is unclear because your sentence is doing too much. Students try to sound academic by writing long sentences, adding connectors, and hiding the subject. But clarity is what looks professional. George Orwell's famous rule says never use the long word where a short one will do, and cut words where possible. Here's the painful part. Long writing often happens because you didn't take time to tighten. There's a famous line traced by researchers of quotations: I didn't have time to make it shorter. The point is very, very simple. Short and clear takes more thinking. So when a supervisor says unclear, don't panic. Do this. Find the one sentence that contains 2 or 3 ideas, split it, and make the subject obvious. You can write like this is study found or prior research shows, or else you can write in Sri Lanka. You can start in Sri Lanka and continue. Clarity can reduce repeated feedback so faster. Fourth reason feedback repeats is your thesis is misaligned. This is the hidden killer. Your research questions say one thing, your literature review discuss another thing, and your methodology measures something slightly different again. And if each section is okay, the whole story doesn't match. Supervisors then keep commenting because they feel something is off, but they may not explain it in one neat sentence. So if you always get not coherent, or needs better flow, check alignment, not grammar. Now here's very, very important insight. Sometimes feedback repeats because you and your supervisor don't see engagement the same way. A study on master's thesis supervision in Nepal had 102 supervisors and 462 students. Found students rated their engagement with feedback higher than supervisors did. In very simple words, it means you feel you fix it, but the supervisor doesn't feel you fully address it. Now your job is not only to edit, your job is to prove you responded properly. Okay, now I'm going to share my simple fix and I call it 3-pass method. It stops the same feedback coming back again and again. Okay. First pass is translate the comment. Make it a very clear action. If they say unclear, find a sentence with too many ideas or term you did not explain. If they say justify, find the claim and add proof with the citation. If they say too descriptive, add comparison and explain why it actually matters. Or if they say not aligned, check if your questions, variables, and methods match. The second pass is fix at the correct level. Sometimes it is a sentence issue like wording, and sometimes it can be a paragraph issue like weak logic or missing evidence. And sometimes it can be a full document issue like poor alignment across chapters. If you only edit sentences, the real problem stays and the feedback repeats. Third pass is show the changes clearly. When you resubmit, send a short message saying what you fixed. For justify, say you added evidence and citation. For unclear, say you shortened the sentence and defined the term. For critical analysis, you can say you have compared studies and added the gap. It reduces back and forth and shows you understood the feedback. So that is the real reason your supervisor keeps repeating the same feedback. You are not failing, you are just fixing the wrong thing. Translate the comment, fix it at the correct level, and clearly show what you have changed. Do that and your next draft will improve super fast. If you want a clear step-by-step path to start and organize your thesis, check my thesis starter pack 2026. It's only $10 and you can download it from my website www.smartystems.com, the link in the description. Also follow me on TikTok and LinkedIn for daily smart thesis tips. New videos every Wednesday and Saturday at 6 p.m. See you next week. Happy researching. Bye bye.